All right, Algebra 1, we're on to lesson 2.5. We're going to look at some equations in this lesson that involve basically solving with not really many numbers. And I'm going to tell you a lot of students don't really like this. They get confused with a lot of variables. So please make sure you pay attention and fill in all the notes. I know you guys don't like to fill in all the notes, but we got to make sure we do that, okay? So let's start with our warm-up. So make sure you've tried it. So we're going to subtract 5 from each side. So then I get x is equal to negative 10. On the next one, I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides. And 8 doesn't go evenly into 43, so we're just going to leave it as 43 over 8. All right, this one is a two-step one. So we have a c plus 5 divided by 4. So to work backwards, we multiply by 4. So because the 4 is on top, that cancels. That gives us c plus 5 equals 24. Now the second step is to subtract 5, so c is equal to 19. Okay, same thing, two steps. 0.3 times s plus 0.6. So work backwards, we're going to subtract 0.6, subtract my 0.6, so then I will get 0.3 s is equal to 0.9. Then I need to divide by 0.3, and my s is equal to 3. All right, I've got variables on both sides. We need to get them on the same side. I'm going to move the 9 over because I want to keep a positive variable. So that leaves me with 1k on this side. This goes away. Now I'm going to add 6. And that just leaves me with k. You can write 1k if you want. So I should get k is equal to 8. Okay? All right, so for today, we're going to solve a formula for a given variable and then solve an equation in 2 or more variables for one of the variables. So you're going to hear the words formula. So a formula is just an equation that gives a rule for a relationship among quantities. And remember, quantities is just a word to describe numbers, amounts, okay? So for example, the formula D equals RT stands for distance is equal to the rate times the time. D is already by itself. So we could rearrange a formula to isolate any variable. This would be called solving for a variable. So let's look at some examples. Okay. You're going to use the same steps that we've been using when we're solving for a variable. And those steps involve finding the variable that you want. Okay, first find the variable you want. Identify the operations on the variable. That's where today I kind of listed things out in order. And then we go backwards using inverse operations to isolate the variable. So let's look at this first one. You're given the formula C is equal to pi d. And this stands for the circumference of a circle is equal to pi times the diameter. They want to know what the circumference of a bowl is, or they're telling you the circumference of a bowl is 18 inches. What is the bowl's diameter? Okay, well, first and foremost, we are given a circumference, okay? So there's a couple ways you could do this. You could plug the 18 in if you like, but I want you to first solve for the diameter. We want to know what's the diameter. So diameter is right here. Well, what's being done to the d value? Well, first it's being multiplied by pi. And that's the only thing on this side. There's nothing else. So we work backwards by doing the reverse. Well, the reverse would be to divide by pi. So I'm going to divide this side by pi. If I divide that side by pi, I also need to divide this side by pi. So that tells me that c divided by pi is equal to the diameter. Now, we know that we have it equal to diameter. That's what we want, but it gives us the c value. It tells us c is 18. So I'm going to put c into 18, or 18 into c. So my answer is pi divided by, or 18 divided by pi inches is equal to d, because we should have inches. So again, we can write that as 18 divided by pi inches. All right, let's try another one. This time we really don't have any well, we have a half, but not many numbers. So the formula for the area of a triangle is area is equal to half times the base times the height. Okay? We want to know what this formula looks like if we have it solved for h, meaning it's an h equals equation. Well, let's see. What's being done to h? Well, it's being multiplied by b, and then secondly, it's being multiplied by a half. So we're going to work backwards by, instead of dividing by a half, remember we use multiplying by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by 2 over 1. And then secondly, we will use division to divide by b. So let's see. If I multiply this side by 2 over 1, and I multiply this side by 2 over 1, those cancel. So on this side, you just have BH. 2 over 1 times A is the same thing as 2 times A. Step 2, divide by B. So those cancel. So my answer is just 2 times A over B is equal to H. And that's your answer. You've solved for H. They don't want you, there's no numbers in this case, I mean, other than the 2, but we have a new formula. All right, another example. The formula for a person's typing speed is given by S, the speed, is equal to W, which is the words in a minute, minus 10 times E divided by M. So W is our number of words, E is our errors, and M is our minutes. They want the equation to be equal to W. They don't want it to be equal to S. All right, so where's W? It's right here. So the first thing that's being done to W is we're subtracting. This is a little tricky. We're subtracting the whole quantity of 10E. The second thing that's being done is it's being divided by M. So now we work backwards using the inverse operation. So we would start with the dividing by M, so that means we would multiply by M, and then add 10E. So let's try this. I'm going to multiply by M. That allows me to cancel the M's on this side. So I get MS. You literally just leave it as MS because M times S is the same thing as MS. Now step 2 is to add 10E to both sides. And this confuses people a little bit too. We have the W left on the side. Our answer is just MS plus 10E. We just leave it like that. You don't do anything else. It's already done. I know that's kind of like, well, where's the answer? Well, that is your answer. You've done it, okay? All right, so we're just gonna continue to do a bunch of examples. If you wanna pause the video and try it, that would actually help you a lot. So I'm suggesting that you pause and try it and then see if you got it right. So this says solve the equation x plus y equals 15 for y. Well, there's the y. What's being done to the y? Well, we have a positive x being added on. So to get rid of that x, we need to subtract it from both sides. Well, that leaves just a y on this side. And then I know you can't subtract x from 15, but you just write 15 minus x because you can't truly do anything else. So you're done. You've solved the equation for y. Here's another one. Pause it if you would like. PQ equals X. So P times Q equals X. We wanted to say Q equals something. Well, here's the Q. So what's being done to it? Well, it's being multiplied by P. So to get rid of the P, we would divide both sides by P. So now I have Q is equal to X over P. And I'm done. That's all you do. I know that looks funny and that's frustrating, but that's it. Okay, another one. 5 minus b equals 2t. Solve it for t. Well, here's t. What's being done to it? It's being multiplied by a 2. So the inverse operation is to divide by 2. Now here comes the trick. You need to divide this whole side by 2 so that your final answer, there's my t on that side, is 5 minus b over 2. Okay? Another example. D is equal to m over v. This is actually the formula for density. And if you guys ever forget the density formula, density is equal to mass divided by volume. And the way that I always was taught to remember it is that D density, if you make it an m over a v, it makes a little heart. So that's how you know you've got it in the correct order. Just a little thing when you get into your biology and chemistry stuff. All right, so here's a little bit of a tricky one. Well, the v is on the bottom of the m. So what I suggest you do is the only way to get the v out of the denominator is to multiply both sides. Let me rewrite this so you can see. Get the v out of the denominator by multiplying both sides by v. So that means we have vd is equal to m. Now, where is the v? The v is being multiplied by d. So to get rid of the d, we would divide by d. So v is equal to m over d. And you're done. So that was a little tricky because the variable I wanted was in the denominator. I had to move it first and then do another step. So I actually had to move the variable I wanted. And in the other examples, we've been moving the other variables. So this one was just a little bit different. So again, this is your formula for density in case you guys ever wondered. Okay, last slide. We've just got a bunch of examples. I suggest that you guys pause this and then go ahead and watch it, okay? So solving for h, I need to get rid of the 1/3 and the a. So I'm going to multiply by 3 over 1. So that gives me 3 times v is equal to ah, divide by a. So my formula is 3 v over a is equal to h. Solve for c. This is a little tricky, okay? Let me show you a way you could do this. Well, we have an added r here, so I could subtract the r. However, if you do this, we'll have p minus r equals a negative c. You need to divide the whole thing by -1 to get rid of that negative sign. So that now makes this a negative p and a positive r equal to c. You could have also moved the c over first, and that would give you p plus c equals r, and then move the p over. You could have done it that way. Okay, solving for y. I'm going to move the 2x over. So that gives me 7y equals 14 minus 2x. Then I'm going to divide by 7. So that cancels. So y is equal to 14 minus 2x over 7. Okay, next one, solve it for m. Well, what's being done to m? It's being divided by x, so to get rid of that, we have to multiply by x, and that comes on both sides. So this cancels, I get m is equal to, this is a little tricky. You need to have x on the outside of k minus 6. You could distribute as well if you like, okay? Either answer would be fine, but you can also leave it like this. All right, last one, solve for c. c minus s divided by 2. So we work backwards, or t. Multiply by t. So rt is equal to c minus s. Add s to get rid of it. So rt plus s is equal to c. And be careful, I use like a little curvy thing on my t's to make it look different than my plus signs. All right, I know this lesson is a little confusing, you guys, but again, find the variable you want, look at what's being done to it, and then work in reverse order, just like you would with regular numbers, okay? And we're done.